Have you ever wondered what has happened to the United States and its once vibrant culture? Have you ever wondered why a virtuous American culture has been in decay for over 60 to 70 years? The book Deus Ex Machina, God from the Machine, explains how foreign belief systems have been imported into the United States by foreign intellectual agents to be used to fundamentally transform the most prosperous and free nation in the world into a typical third world country. Learn how the progressive academics, progressive activists, large corporations, and the mainstream media have become appendages of the federal government, a Praetorian Guard, and an extension of the political vanguard class. Deus Ex Machina exposes the cogs of the machine that progresses our civil society to chaos and subjugation. Get this tool to educate others and illuminate the truth on the battlefield of ideas. Let's make a difference. Get Deus Ex Machina, the progression of secular socialism, from Amazon.com and Lulu.com today.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Are you getting a TV picture now, Houston? Neil, yes, we are getting a TV picture. You're in our field of view now. Okay, ready for me to come up? All set. Okay, I'm on the top step. It's a very simple matter to hop down from one step to the next. You've got 3 more steps and then it'll open. Okay, I'm going to leave that 1 foot up there and both hands down about the 4th rung up.
Roger that. 10 miles, he's back on my nose. Watch one again.
And we say to our nation tonight, we say to our government, we even say to our FBI, we will not be harassed. We will not make a butchery of our conscience. We will not be intimidated, and we will be heard.
6 miles, 6 miles. Valley 2, Valley 2. Turning into me. Roger that. 12 miles. 4 miles. Making right. Roger that. Good throw, good throw. He's dropping down the ground. Coming hard, stop.
Shoot him! I don't got time.
You got the second one.
I got the second one on the nose right now.
Hey, I'm high cover on you.
Lock him up.
That's you.
Lock him up.
Welcome to the Battlefield, folks. This is the Battlefield Live. Chris Pilier, Lanterns Media Network. Want to thank you for joining us on the program today. We are on the Liberty Eagle. If you're listening on Lanterns and you're not following Liberty Eagle, you got to go to the Liberty Eagle on Facebook. We are both Facebook Live there as well as on Lanterns Buzz and our YouTube channel for Lanterns Buzz and Periscope, of course. So check it out. Great show lined up for you today. Obviously, there's a heightening tensions, if you will. Trump has come out and more or less after, I don't know, I guess the Norks, the North Koreans over there have been pushing and pushing and pushing. And since, it seems like since Clinton, really, after Clinton pretty much gave him a pass, has been nuking up. And they are, well, they're now a threat. And it's gotten to the point now, no pun intended, things have come to a head, a warhead. And we're on the beachhead, if you will, of possible history here. And it's terrifying if you actually put things into perspective. What would happen if the Norks were able to launch a nuclear device on an ICBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile, into the atmosphere and successfully bring it back in onto a city in the United States, or even where they've threatened today. They've threatened Guam. We have an air base there. I think it's I'm not sure if it's the B-2 or the B-12. There's basically some bombers there, and they have officially threatened that particular facility. So what are we going to do? Well, we'll talk about that on the only place that we could discuss this, the Battlefield. That's right. Battlefield Live, Chris Pilier, Lanterns Media Network. Make sure you share Lanterns Buzz on Twitter and Facebook, and also the Liberty Eagle on Facebook. We'll be right back after the short break. Stick with me. It's going to get heated here. We bring on Susan Swift. Stick with me.
We're here to fix the machine.
Battlefield Live. You're listening to the Battlefield Live with Chris Pilier from Lanterns Media Network, the Battlefield Live radio program. Want to thank you for joining us on the battlefield today. We got a great show lined up for you today. It is going to get heated on the battlefield, and for one reason, we're possibly at the verge of war, and the second reason it's going to be heated is, well, we got the one and only illustrious, the stunning, the amazing Susan Swift. What's going on, Susan?
Hey, Chris. I am blessed and highly favored. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Folks, if you're interested in our program, make sure you check us out on Spreaker. You can check us out there at Lanterns Buzz. We're also on all the social media networks at Lanterns Buzz. You can also find our podcasts at YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player.fm, and SoundCloud. And want to give a shout-out to all the folks over at the Liberty Eagle that are following right now. The room is filled with great Patriots. Jesse, Blair, the one and only Blair, Collins, David, Stephen, Fred, I can't list them all, Gordon, Chris S. has joined us. Also Ron Phillips, the one and only Ron Phillips, has been traveling the country on his motorcycle, showing us some great scenery there. Marion as well. So thank you all for joining us. We're going to get right into this. So Susan, there's some video that I'd like to actually play to get some perspective, and I've lob that video over to you, and we'll play that here for the audience, and we'll discuss it. This is Donald Trump talking. I believe he's in Jersey at one of his resorts or his golf course or somewhere, and he's basically this is not a scripted comment, but it is being recorded, and it's about what's going on in North Korea. So let's take a listen to this, and Susan, I'd love to get your comment on this. Check this out, y'all.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen. He has been very threatening beyond a normal statement. And as I said, they will be met with fire, fury, and frankly power, the likes of which this world has never seen before. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so obviously, if you're watching this video on the Liberty Eagle Lanterns Buzz, you're not seeing a guy standing behind a podium with, surrounded by reporters, a prepared statement that he's been working on for a couple of days with all his advisors and, the teleprompters. No, he's sitting crossed-armed, it looks like at a table, maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll have dinner in a little bit, and someone asked him a question, and he answered it in the best way he knew. And this is Trump speak, right? This is not some formulated thing by a hand, fire and fury, and I trust that he means this. This is not something that is just an idle threat. What say you?
I am so grateful that we have a president who can articulate a strong defense of America. I mean, you know what? As bad as it is, we've got little, the little Kim Jong Ding Dong, little pineapple head going, yeah, I'm gonna aim at Guam. I'm gonna bomb Guam. Okay, that's what he's doing, right? As bad as that is, I want you all to consider one thing. It could be worse. We could have Hillary in the White House. right? We've got a guy, look at him. He just sits down, he crosses his arms, and he's got that eagle look in his eye, and he says, if they keep this up, fire and fury. Might as well have said fire and brimstone. That's what I want from a president. And the other thing is he will back it up because he loves the military and he loves our country. And he's giving North Korea and really China. We're all talking about China. That's who we're really talking about, right?
Yeah.
Because China is the puppet master for North Korea. The only reason that North Korea gets to do any of this thing is because China keeps giving them the thumbs up, the fortune cookie, the whatever it is yes, you may now attack United States, whatever they do, China's behind it. And what Trump is saying is, don't go there. We will have to take you out. I hope we don't have to do that. I would like it if we could avoid war, but you know what? I would rather that we have someone like Donald Trump in the White House than, say, Hillary Clinton, because I think she would be totally ineffective. I mean, never mind the Parkinsonian attack, going probably, rolling her eyes and,
Missile would go in the wrong direction.
I couldn't handle that. But at least he it's an impromptu moment. It's quick, and he meets it head on, just like I want a defender. What do women want? You know this, Chris. What do women really want? It's quiz.
Well, that's a bad question to ask me right now. That's a bad, because they want missiles. It's just. I mean, I don't know how we could take that.
You guys cannot read minds. I know it's just not one of those things. It's a gift. We all have superpowers. Women have superpowers. We can read your mind. We know what you guys want. They're two things, and you get them, and then you're happy. But
we want beer and
women,
food.
What do they want? I mean, they want to feel safe. They want to feel secure.
Yeah,
that's what they want. They want a protector, and that's what we have. Lady Liberty has a protector in Donald Trump.
Yes, and we know what Lady Liberty wants, right? She wants freedom, and
yes.
All right. So here's the issue. Here's the issue here, and you got to kind of walk through the mind games and the drama of all the players involved. We got China, obviously, and let's not forget Russia. And so what you have here is you have a guy who is basically somewhat insane. He doesn't live with a Western mindset. Yeah, he's a little bit upset, insane. I mean, anybody that goes and gets a haircut like that, we can speculate there. But so basically, you got several million people. I don't know what the population of south of Seoul is, but basically you have South Korea right across the border into the on the other side of the border of South Korea is the crazy world that Kim Jong-un lives in with all his crazy minions that believe that they can annihilate the United States, and so the threat here is immense. I mean, just for the South Koreans, I can't imagine. Look, I had a friend of mine that just went to South Korea, a guy that I do some business with. He's actually one of the guys that helped design the Lanterns logo and help us brand lanterns.
You like him?
Yes, he's the guy that developed that logo. So he goes over to Seoul a couple of I guess maybe a month ago or so, and I asked him, I was like, when you were there, did you feel any tension? He's like, no. He said they live under that, and I can kind of take that as maybe as in Israel. In Israel, they kind of go through that same type of feeling where they live in that day in day out tension, and it's kind of blends into the normalcy. But I just can't imagine this kind of stuff going on, several hundred miles away or whatever, or 1,000 miles away. I don't know what the distance is between Seoul and Pyongyang or whatever the hell they call it.
It's
capital.
too close.
Yes.
Whatever it is, it's too close.
Yeah. So, and not only that, but I mean, we're talking about ICBMs that could most likely reach Alaska or even California or Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yeah, or something smaller that can reach Guam. So, any type of stupid move by the Norks kills a whole bunch of people. I mean, this is not a threat from Iran necessarily that says that they'll blow up one of our ships in the Persian Gulf. Now, this is a serious threat that could decimate one or multiple cities on the continental United States, right?
And we also know, thanks to Hillary's big mouth during the debates, if you remember, she said it only takes 4 minutes. She has basically a window of 4 minutes when the president would be notified until he's got to authorize the counterattack kind of a thing. Remember that 4 minutes, and people were kind of, well, gee, you should you have been saying that on national TV? If it was a state secret before, I don't know, but she sure let everybody know. It's 4 minutes, so you got 4 minutes. And I'm in LA, so I'll try to jump on Facebook really quick, and in like 2 minutes I'll say, Chris, we're getting it.
Right.
That'll be it. I won't even have enough time to send a text. If LA, LA has got to be on the short list, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Hollywood.
And just imagine, so we had a terrible incident that obviously occurred on 9/11, where we had multiple planes attack multiple places in the country, specifically the Twin Towers, obviously the Pentagon, and so that particular incident created a huge or hugely devastating consequence, obviously, people's lives, but also our economy. It put us on edge, and we ended up going to war over it. I mean, and that was, 3,000 people that died in the Twin Towers, I think, or I'm not, forgive me if I'm wrong with the number.
Somewhere, that's a ballpark.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about
and that's
possibly
that's
a million
just a plane
people
with gasoline, basically.
Yes.
That's just one.
I mean, you could wipe out 1 million people with a nuclear device that's launched, from an ICBM into one of these major cities, or if they launch multiple, and we could argue all day, we have the technology to take that stuff out, but what happens if we don't?
Well, but it's also, we have to remember there's a factor of being the EMP, the electronic
I know what you mean.
I obviously have not had enough wine in my mud, but the electromagnetic pulse.
Right.
And that's what happens. It knocks out everything that has, an electrical capacity. Most of your cars nowadays, unless you've got old cars like I do, that you can work on without, the electronic computer inside of your car, it means all the cars are dead. It means it could be power plants. It could be so many different things that are absolutely shut down electronically. And that means, you're not going to have your cell phone. You're not going to have your computer. You're not going to have your refrigerator. You're not going to have anything. Everything that runs on electricity in your state or community, if an EMP strike happens, is shut down, at least temporarily. I think mostly permanently. Then you have to get a backup generator and get things going, but it'll take a couple of days to restore function. Just those 3 days, even if no one were to die in an attack, even if no one were to die, you'd have 3 days of maybe real serious social chaos.
It's actually it's much more than that. Let me explain too, because I've done some reading on this. All right, so what an EMP is you have a nuclear device that's detonated in the atmosphere at a certain distance, and even if a nuclear device hits ground or right above a certain city and decimates the city, the point that you're making, Susan, is that imagine your entire electrical grid is fried. And in other words, all the wiring, all the circuitry, everything on just the electric grid is fried. You don't just all of a sudden bring in a couple of trucks and a couple of people and boop, pop it back on. No, you have months and months, maybe even years of restoring just power. Now let's put the power part to the side. Let's think about the server farm that may be over there in LA or in San Francisco or wherever, or where you have these huge buildings with servers that manage the internet and all these different things, and all of those servers get wiped out. You don't just go over there with a laptop, plug it back in, and boop, you're back up. No, you have major infrastructure problems. And in the course of let's say it's 6 months, best case scenario. Let's say it's 6 months. You have people that don't have the ability to drive anywhere. You have the ability for stores not to refrigerate. Food all of a sudden becomes a major issue. We're not talking about a Katrina, a localized Katrina type of disaster. We're talking about a whole region of the United States without power, electricity, the ability to transport people and things. You have massive, massive dislocation, and there will be massive violence. It'll be a devastating thing to not only the country but the world. The world will tumble into economic problems because of the amount of destruction that occurs from something like this occurring. And this is a serious threat. This is not just like, oh, it's like the second or third page of the New York Times, and we can just kind of blow this thing off. This is the biggest threat that we've had to the United States since probably the Cold War or even before. Wouldn't you say?
And yes, and I'm going to say, this is directly because of Barack Obama. Don't blame Trump for this. You can't, because this happened on Obama's watch when the Norks have been, starting all of this escalating and have been going towards nuclear armament. This is on Obama.
Yes. And
look, just like the Iran deal, Iran is also getting very, very close to having nuclear capacity.
That's right.
And that's on Obama. He remember, he financed it. He financed it.
So
he gave money over there. So all of these threats, these are unnecessary. They could have been avoided, just like Bill Clinton could have grabbed up Osama bin Laden, but chose not to.
Right.
Obama could have squelched a lot of the growth of North Korean nuclear activity, but chose not to.
Yes, and so one of our friends, David, on the Liberty Eagle mentions, he says, what I fear is EMP because he's on dialysis. So here's a perfect example of one person. Let's think about the thousands of people that may be in a similar situation.
In hospitals.
Yeah. So he, all of a sudden, David can't get the electricity that he needs in the medical devices and things to manage, his particular ailment. And all of a sudden, David's life goes from being just kind of the normalcy that he's used to dealing with, the challenges that he has by getting dialysis, to all of a sudden his life being in a completely different state of chaos that he has to try to figure out just simple ways to survive. And
he has 3 days with dialysis, 3 to 4 days. But they're going to be people that they're being operated on in the middle of the operation, and the electricity goes out, or respirations. I mean, just the people in hospitals, that's a death sentence for most of them.
Yeah.
Just consider if one hospital's electrical system and grid shuts down, newborn babies, the whole thing. It is mind-boggling the level to which we depend on our first world electrical conventions, and that is what North Korea is threatening right now. So, whether anyone dies in a nuclear blast is actually secondary to the greater havoc. He could shut down the entire western region.
Yeah. So
of the United States.
I live at the time of Katrina coming ashore in New Orleans and Mississippi and the Gulf Coast. So basically, and I don't want to rehash this because we actually did a show on this with Josie Jackson from Lanterns, and she survives an amazing story, and you'll have to listen to that podcast on Lanterns Buzz. But the point I'm trying to make here is that basically you had a hurricane that came on shore, which was a Category 3 when it actually got on shore, but it was a Category 5 and brought some, prior to coming on shore and bringing huge amounts of water into the city. And it was because of a failure in the levee system and the pump system and things like that. Well, we had almost 3,000 people die in that event, and that was just simple water coming into the city. We had probably in some places we had power in a couple of weeks. Yeah, in a couple of weeks we had power, and it was a very localized event. And I say that, the New Orleans area was directly impacted, and you had like places like Baton Rouge that had power outages and things like that. But when you have an entire grid down for 6 months, this is not something that we've ever experienced before. We never have had this in our lifetime, and arguably in the history of the United States have we ever had a threat this large, I believe.
Now, it's just breaking on Drudge just posted this since we started the program. It's it's called the Yonhap News Agency. So it's North Korean news, NK News. So take that with a grain of salt, perhaps. If it is truly North Korean news, it could be kind of fake news, only just in Korean, because they are a propaganda organization just like our media is. But according to NK News, this is on Drudge Report right now, this is out of Seoul, 2 B-1B U.S. strategic bombers trained again over Korea earlier this week, a defense official in Seoul said Wednesday. The B-1B Lancers from Guam were deployed in the sky over the peninsula Tuesday, that's today, as part of a regular combined exercise with the South's fighter jets, the official said. The Allies did not announce the mission in advance. You think? Really? Yeah, I'm not going to tell North Korea that, yeah, we're doing exercises over South Korea to protect ourselves. Yeah. North Korea's military threatened Wednesday to launch an intermediate range ballistic missile attack on areas near Guam in order to contain the U.S. military's strategic assets based on the Pacific Island. Do you see how they're saying that?
Yes.
North Korea is threatening because we need to contain the U.S. military strategic assets. So that makes it sound like that the U.S. is bullying North Korea. Excuse me, for what the last 6 months or years, North Korea has been, the guy with the stupid haircut, Ding Dong, has been saying, we're going to bomb you! I mean, come on. But now this newspaper is saying, well, we're doing this to contain the U.S. military strategic assets.
So let's do this.
This is craziness. This is craziness.
Let's do this,
Two
Susan.
bombers. Basically, the U.S. has sent 2 bombers to Korea this week, officially. So we're already in place. We're exercising in Guam.
All right. Well, we're going to do this, folks. We're going to take a quick break. Make sure you stick with us. We're going to take a real short pause. Get a sip of water. Check us out. We'll be right back after this short pause. Find us on Lanterns Buzz. You can find us on lanterns.buzz, our website, or you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Lanterns Buzz. We'll be right back from the Liberty Eagle and Lanterns Buzz, Lanterns Media Network. Stick with me.
Lanterns, illuminating the truth.
People often ask me, they say, Chris, how is it that we can change the minds of many in this country? And I say, well, you first don't start with the mind. You have to start with the heart. You don't change minds without changing hearts. And that's what we're going to do. It wasn't that long ago that you might have not have had hope for the country, and all of a sudden you have a change of heart. We'll expect that other people right now feel the same way that you used to. It's those people that we have to reach out to. It may be you that we have to reach out to. So it's our task to form a community, a group, unified behind principles, unified behind what has made America the country that it is now. It's about liberty. It's about freedom. And everybody wants to experience this. We just have to show them how. It's about you being a lantern shining out the light of truth. And we can bring this all together in one place. It's truly about the shining city on the hill. Hope is not in the hands of someone else. It's within ourselves. It's within our hearts. It's within our minds. And it's about utilizing those things in order to be able to make us free.
Lanterns, illuminating the truth. Battlefield Live.
You've tuned into the Battlefield Live radio program. Chris Pilier, Lanterns Media Network, the Liberty Eagle. Folks, if you're enjoying the show, which I hope you are, and we'd love to hear from you, you can find us at Twitter and Facebook at Lanterns Buzz. That's Lanterns with two, and Buzz with two Z's, B-U-Z-Z. You can also find our website at lanterns.buzz, and you can find all of our commentary. I think we are up to somewhere in the north of 80 contributors on that website, writers, podcasters, broadcasters like Susan and I, and make sure you give them a shout. In fact, AJ is on the Liberty Eagle. He's one of our broadcasters that just came on board, and we're excited to have him and host him. And, of course, there's others that you need to check out. You got like Eric Thompson. You got Chris X. You got, oh, man, here I go down the list of names, and I know I'm not going to be able to name everybody. All the folks over at the Liberty Eagle, make sure you check out and give those folks some kudos. And, of course, our friends over at KLRN Radio and Red Nation Rising, we're all in this together. While we all have our own little brands and our little networks and all these different things, it's about coming together on the battlefield of ideas and making a difference, and that's what we're doing. So this is what I'm going to ask you all to do, folks. We were close to 100 some odd people on Liberty Eagle, and I think we're getting somewhere near that on Lanterns. If you all are watching us on Facebook, Twitter, which is Periscope, or YouTube, make sure you share this right now. Share this. Let's get as many people on the battlefield. Get this out. One of the things, and Susan, you can account for this because you're in many different locations on social media. We're basically getting together and we're recreating what the media was all about. The pamphleteers back at the time of the Revolution, where we were out, as patriots giving out pamphlets. Well, those pamphlets have become blog sites. They become independent news organizations. All these different things. Screw the freaking mainstream media. Stop tuning into that crap. That's the best thing I can say. Give your time and your money and the attention that is needed to these small organizations that are talking about the stories that nobody else is talking about, and give them the opportunity, and they will replace what is now called the mainstream media, because they're not the mainstream. Susan, where can they find you on social media?
On social media, you can find me at Real Susan Swift, and you can also find me through my website, which is susanswift.net.
Awesome. Susan, I want to ask you this, because there's all of this stuff that we're talking about, the real threats, right? The real threats, at least from overseas, is this nuclear, this Cold War, if you will, that we're all staring at each other, and I don't know if that's that cold anymore. But we're in this situation where the Cold War has resurrected itself. We're at tension with Russia, China, Iran. We could talk for a whole hour on just Iran alone and what Obama has done to allow Iran to get their hands on nuclear devices. The West is at the biggest threat it's ever been since the 80s and the 70s with the Cold War. But there's a part of this that we got to talk about. It sucks that we have to talk about it like this, but the politics, right? Are the people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, and even some of the people that would be considered Republicans, they're not conservative, but like even the Warhawks. I mean, what is McCain going to say? Are they going to support this president?
Look, I just pulled this up. This is, it's called HawaiiNewsNow.com. Hawaiian News Now. Okay, and we've got two quotes in here. This is regarding North Korea and the threat that we're facing, nuclear war, right? And here's the two guys in Congress, all right? One is, he says, we need professionals guiding this process. That's U.S. Senator Brian Schatz. He's the Democrat from Hawaii. So Brian Schatz out there, he says, yeah, we need professionals guiding this process. We learned from our wars in the Middle East. Bad decisions can make a terrible situation worse. So what is this guy calling for? He's saying, oh my gosh, let's not have Trump in the White House. We need a professional. Who's a professional? Excuse me, that's the Senate. That's the Congress. That's the president. Those are the professionals. Those are the people we're supposed to be handling these things. But that's not good enough for Senator Schatz. He wants, of course, a committee, the global world, now maybe the UN, maybe we got to get Putin in on this, but he doesn't want Trump saying it. And then guess who the next senator is? I'll give you a hint. U.S. Senator John McCain, yes, the traitor, Republican in name only from Arizona, he also took an exception to Trump's comments, saying they were unlikely to de-escalate the situation. Is that the goal? Is that our goal? Is that why Trump is saying these
That's
things
a two-way
to de-escalate?
road.
No, he's not. He's saying these things to get right in between those little beady eyes of that guy, Ding Dong John, and say, "You don't do it, man. I'm gonna ram one of our fighters right between your eyes." So John McCain, you know, the guy who just damned millions of Americans to life under Obamacare because he has a personal grudge against Trump, he said, I don't know what he's saying, meaning Trump. I don't know what he's saying, and I've long ago given up trying to interpret what he says. That kind of rhetoric, I'm not sure how it helps. So here he is peeing on Trump's leg and calling it rain again. That is not helpful. That I want to submit to you. Yeah, the biggest problem that we have is not even North Korea. The biggest problem, and you know what, moms and dads and husbands and wives will know this. You know what the biggest problem facing America today is? We are not united.
That's right.
When mom and dad are not on the same page, when we're dealing with an unruly child and mom says one thing and dad says another and they're kind of fighting in between, well, I don't know what we should do. Okay, guess what? The kid goes crazy. Right?
Yeah.
What we're having, we've got these two parties. We've got the Democrats and the Republicans. They don't want Trump there, and they are fighting to get him kicked out. There is a silent coup going on. They're trying to undermine him. Senator McCain is undermining our president at a moment when North Korea is threatening to blow up Guam. That's the biggest threat.
So
it's united we stand, divided we fall for a reason. And the war on the battlefield now is you can't get along with people like this. You can't get along with people who demand one world, global order, and we'll all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. You don't get along with people like this. You must defeat them politically.
So
you must relegate them to the museums where they're supposed to live in the basement somewhere.
So I want to mention two things. You went into this, and I want to kind of expand on a little bit. You talk about the professionals. The professional politicians are the ones that got us into the situation in the first place. The professional politicians are the ones that gave the Iranians nukes. They're the ones that gave the Norks nukes. Not that far from nukes is Norks.
I feel like I'm an incel.
Yeah.
That'd be Obama. That would be Obama.
So the biggest threat here,
channeling Diamond and Silk on
the biggest threat here is because look, if there's an EMP that goes off over Los Angeles or New York or someplace, we're talking about major devastation, not just from a physical, the blast zone of this particular device, or just from the chaos that is created. Those are things that will heal over time. The things that don't heal over time is the ideological freaking stupid mindset that's being bred into our children, that's being bred into Americans all over the country, that is creating an environment for us to fight each other over things that are inconsequential, like this stupid Russian crap, right? The bottom line is this.
Fake news.
The bottom line is this, okay? If we allow the government, the federal government, to be the arbiter or the deliverer of rights, that is the biggest threat. We can survive devastation. We can survive the physical, the uncomfortable nature of not having electricity for 6 months. Our country was born in that type of environment. Whether or not we can survive in that is a whole nother story. But we can, in regards to getting this country back to where it needs to be. But if we undermine the principles, if we undermine the true nature of what America is about being independent, about not being dependent on government, if we can get beyond that, we can survive. But the problem with Katrina, and I go back here because this is evidence, the people that died in Katrina were people that were waiting for someone to save them for the most part.
That's right.
And
Amen.
guess what?
You just sit around, you're waiting for the government to bail you out.
That's right.
You're waiting for somebody to come save you. I mean, you're being, the princess in the tower saying, where is my knight in shining armor to come save me from the big, bad, evil Hillary step monster? Right? No one's going to be there. You have to do it. That's why I was very, very happy that we voted Hillary, the step monster of the world, out.
That's
It's
right.
about us.
Kyle-
It's about and Trump understands that.
Right.
That's why he's telling North Korea, back off, Jack, or we're going to take care of business. That's what a man does. That's what a leader does. That's what a strong woman does. She looks her kid in the eye or a threat in the eye and said, "You better mind your manners or I will take you out." That's individual strength.
So
we don't need the UN. We don't need the whole community of the world. What we need to do is be strong, and we need to say, this is what we, the Americans, United States, will tolerate and nothing more. Rest of the world, you better get on board with us. Yes, of course, it's good to have partners, and I believe he's probably being very wise because he's saying, I mean, he just tweeted out a little while ago, Donald Trump, that after many years of failure, countries are coming together to finally address the dangers posed by North Korea. We must be tough and decisive. Amen to that. But we need to lead.
That's
America
right.
needs to lead. We can't wait for everybody to catch up with us.
So I want to mention something that Kyle has mentioned on Facebook. He says that it started when they took God out of school, and I want to expand on that a little bit because I think it's a very, very important thing. Because it's more. All right, so a lot of people when they hear something like that, and I'm speaking for. There's people that I know. If I had made that statement in that way, they would probably be like, "Oh, here he goes again. He's about to preach," right? No, Kyle's making a great point here, but let's expand that and let's talk about what that means. So, if there is no God, where do your rights come from? Right? Your rights, they don't just appear because our rights are endowed by our Creator, right? They're endowed by our Creator, and among those rights, not just solely these rights, but among those rights are the rights to life, liberty, and in the pursuit of happiness. So when you void yourself, or you have a void in your life for a Creator, someone that has delivered these rights to you, all of a sudden you look to somebody that is a provider of rights. And that's the point that I think a lot of people don't articulate when they say, it started when they took God out of school. That's a great point. But expand on that. And because when you get that debate going back and forth with someone that says, oh, come on, you don't have to go down we can live in this secular society. That's fine. We do live in a secular society as far as our government is concerned. But where do your rights come from? And I think that extends itself to where we are today with this situation that's going on overseas. I know it's a long, way to connect to that, but
we've kicked God out of not just the schools. We've kicked God out of everyday life. How many people pray? How many people have an individual relationship with God and pray and talk to God directly? How many people have look at, not even the public schools, but our courts. Cities are being sued to remove, the 10 commandments. We are exorcising God from our everyday life. And you know what? He gave us free will. He's not going to impose himself. And so he says, okay, go ahead. I'd like to help, but I'm not invited in. I'm prevented. I'm blocked out of children's lives. How many do you sit and you pray with your children? Do you go to take them to church every day? Churches are becoming empty, and you wonder why kids don't have a base, a moral base. There is no morality unless there are God-given rules and laws and morality. That's where it comes from. Is the concept of right and wrong comes from a Judeo-Christian concept of God. Mm-hmm. And that's why liberals want to undermine exactly that. They want to undermine the morality of marriage, the morality of good and evil, and even the genders. It's like if everything is an individual choice, there is no right or wrong. It's just about me. It's about my narcissism, and I get to do what I want. And you other guys, too bad for you, because I don't like that. It's relativism, and there is no more moral standard, and therefore you can undermine the entire basis of our law. Our laws are premised on the idea of right and wrong, and that thou shalt not kill.
Right.
That's why murder's a crime. And if it's okay to say, well, I really felt that I was attacked and I felt very threatened. I mean, if you go all social justice warrior on people and you say, I felt very threatened by him, so it's okay that I punched him or I took him out. You have now eroded the basis of the law for our entire criminal justice system, our entire civil justice system.
Right.
That's what Black Lives Matter is all about. If you can erode the police, you don't have a police force who enforces what? The laws. And the laws are something you and I have all agreed on based on a common frame of reference, a common cultural, religious perspective, which is a Judeo-Christian culture.
That's right.
Take that away, and this is what Islam is about, and replacing that and saying we believe in Sharia law. We want the right to have Sharia law in United States so that we judge our people who come to the Sharia court, Islamic, Muslims to the Sharia court. We will apply Sharia to them. We're going to ignore your law, United States. Your laws don't apply here in Sharia court. That's
Right.
undermining United States laws.
So the
Pretty much, you won't have law. You won't have a civil society if you undermine the moral, cultural, religious, and legal foundation for a country.
So
that's what this is
So I want
about.
to bring this back full circle because I think this is such a great point, and it's a great way to segue back to the original topic we're talking about, the threat in North Korea. So in the event that we have one of these massive problems, right, where we have an EMP, let's say, for instance, or we have a nuclear attack on one or multiple cities in the country, who do you turn to? So when I was thinking about this today, it's like I was driving out of my driveway this morning and my neighbor was, walking their dog, and I kind of waved, and it's like I thought about it. It's like I haven't talked to that neighbor in quite a while. And if something were to happen, how much harder would it be for me to go to my neighbor and ask for help, or them come to me, if we just don't talk on a regular basis? And look, I have two of these things, these cell phones, right? And I got Facebook and I got Twitter. We talk about it, for Lanterns Buzz. It's where you connect with us. And in the nature of our business, I mean, people are watching from all over the country and even the world. That's some of the world that we live in, and we've basically made our communities around these digital places, and we have to.
That'll be gone in an EMP.
Yeah,
in a heartbeat.
Imagine your community just being decimated. The people that you communicate and live with on the internet, and all of a sudden you've neglected your church, your community. So these are the things that this is a lesson for us. This is a moment where we can reflect on the importance of getting back to the basics. You don't have to give up Facebook and Twitter and doing that kind of stuff, but you have to refocus on whether it's the Sunday day at church, whether it's just going to the community and helping and devoting some of your time to them and some charity or something to that nature.
Having a block party.
Yes.
A block party. Get your neighbors together. Go knock on the new neighbor who just moved down the block. Bring them some cookies.
Yes.
Say, hi, here's my phone number. We just live right down here. Do that. Build your community organically.
Trump talks about let's make America great again, right? I understand his point there, and I always double down and say, all right, let's make America exceptional again, and we are exceptional, but let's make us even more exceptional. And the first step in that, and we always try to think, well, we can go to the voter's box and we can change the world by just putting the right president in place. How about we start with the number one, right, which is the person that gave us the rights. Number two, let's start with ourselves. Let's make ourselves better. Number three, our spouse. And if you're not married, your parents or your family, start there and work on it from there. And then from there, you have a foundation that can change the world through, just simply getting into the community and you working on those family units. And then when something bad happens, you don't have to go to the government. You go to your community. Or the community comes to you and says, Chris, I need help.
Yes. You be that person that we have in California. We have, you can be a local block commander for your, Republican Party or whatever. You can just be a block captain. You be that person that has information, that offers help, that has extra supplies, whatever it is, or just a kind word or an encouragement, you can be that person. You can be, if we're going to use the analogy, you can be that little light in a lantern on your block so that people know that they can always come to you and you're there to be their friend and that you'll help them, and that you, even if you have nothing other than just friendship to offer, that's pretty huge. And if your streets are flooded, that's okay. We'll be flooded together.
That's right.
That's what Americans are. We're great at that. And you know what? We always rise at challenges. We always come together. Americans are the most generous people the face of the earth has ever seen. We come together, we solve problems, and we liberate others. We've already saved Europe once. We can do it again. We are the light of the world. And all we have to do is shine a little bit just in our own neighborhood and have a block party this weekend. You know, get Saturday afternoon, just say, come on over. We're going to, I'm going to burn something on the grill and we're going to have a beer, and everybody just brings something. I don't care what it is. Just come on over and we'll meet each other and, we'll just say hi. Be that person. Be that one person who's the positive, generous, happy warrior. The one that everyone, they don't have to know your politics. Better that they don't sometimes. But you just be the one that says, it's okay. We're going to get through this, because you know what? We will, because Americans never give up and they always succeed. Even if it takes them a long time to do it, they will never give up. I would never give up on a neighbor. I'm going to help them. That's going to be my first response. It's going to be yours too, Chris. I know it. Right. And if we can't, do our, iPhone, cell phone, all that jazz to anybody else, that doesn't matter, because you know what? Your friends are right around you. And we will all come together, and you'll watch. If something devastating does happen, you and I we're going to have stories to tell about how automatically Americans got up out of their rooms and their, off their couches and got away from the non-existent television because EMP. And they're going to walk out into their streets and they'll say, well, heck, let's get this water back flowing,
right.
Or let's do this, or hey, I've got this over here, and how about you bring that over here? They will come together and they will save and rebuild, because that's who we are.
That's some good stuff. So I don't know if I can top that, but I'm gonna try. So we had what is being called now the 1,000-year flood here in Louisiana. And I'm not talking about Katrina. Right. All right. So this is what I want you to think about, folks. And I would bet you that 99% of you that are listening to this have never heard about this flood. And why is that? Because usually you hear about things in the news because of negativity or tragedy, right? You hear about somebody dying or these things like, well, there were people that died in this flood, okay? But the impact, I want you to imagine, if you look at Louisiana, it looks like a boot, right? I want you to imagine the majority of the toe of the boot was underwater and destroyed most homes. And I'm not talking about New Orleans. I'm from New Orleans west to where the boot comes down. That is the Baton Rouge, Denham Springs, Prairieville, Ascension Parish, all these different areas that were impacted by the storm. And I'm going to tell you what happened. Okay, so we basically had some friends that were on social media trying to help some family. And next thing you know, that the social media was helping other friends and family. And we got together, and it wasn't like somebody came up and they were like the leader of some group and, money from the government. No, it was a group of people that decided, you know what, we need to start a Navy to go onto these waters, through these neighborhoods and through these rivers and streams, and go rescue people. And they called it, we're down here by the Cajuns, right? They called it the Cajun Navy. Okay, and I was talking about my buddy that went to South Korea. He was actually one of the people that was behind the technology that we used in order to be able to get this together. And one of the things I will say, the local authorities that were participating in this, they were very responsible. But they were overwhelmed. There was not enough police officers. There was not enough fire department, firemen. There was not enough EMTs. So what did the people do? This is a very tight-knit community. The community down here is amazingly beautiful. And we all got together. I had a buddy that called me from about 150 miles away, or about 100 miles away, and he said, dude, I'm watching what's going on. Do y'all need some help? I'm like, yes, bring a boat. He came, he picked me up, and we went and saved people. And look, it was an amazing feeling for me, because I felt like I was really doing something. I was participating, and it changed people's lives in this region forever. And the reason why is because what you said, Susan, it's just simply getting beyond the Facebook post or the Facebook Live. This is a great venue to put these things together. But take what you learn on the battlefield here, take it and go somewhere with it. Change the community, and you'll change the world. And that's what has made America great. That is what's made America an exceptional nation. Alexis de Tocqueville and basically said it, is that it's the churches and the communities that made America independent and free,
the people.
And where we
It's
can
the people.
pursue happiness.
We put ourselves last when America needs us to rally around her. Americans put America first when they have to. When push comes to shove, there's so many good people. We just don't hear about it. Drudge and all these things, as you said, they make their money with all of the scandal and the crazy news and the anomalies. It's anomaly news, okay?
Right.
It's not everyday news. There are millions and millions of dads and moms and people waking up and saying, all right, I got to go to work.
True
and you know what?
heroes.
Most of them don't like the jobs they do, or maybe it's okay, but I'm doing it. Why? Why am I doing it? I'm doing it to get a paycheck, to bring it home so I can put food on the table and I can take care of my family. Millions of people do that. And you know what? Those same people, if they see harm coming to somebody that they know in their neighborhood, or just a friend that they've met just recently at work, they'll step up and say, hey, what's going on here? What are you attacking my friend for? They will, because that's our breed. And we are the best of the whole world. So many different peoples, nations, cultures came here to be free. And we have made that wonderful mix, that blend of American exceptionalism. And we're not going to let anybody hurt us. We're not going to let somebody hurt our next door neighbor. We stand up and we defend people. That's why we defended the Jews. That's why we said, no, you can't do this. That's why we entered a war across over the seas. We said, no, this has got to stop.
Right.
This is why this is our nature. And it's not just the greatest generation. It's the next generation after that and the next, because that tradition is silently, quietly passed down from father to son, from mother to daughter, on and on and on. And we don't say anything. We're all the silent majority. We all sit there. We're all trying to be law abiding. We're all trying to do the right thing. And we grumble sometimes about, the silliness that we see. But at the end, most of us, 99% of us, have huge hearts and will put ourselves out to protect and to serve our country, that because of the nature of the unique nature of Lady Liberty, and the whole notion that we are independent and we are free. And because of that, we have great love. See, no one's got their boot on our neck telling us what we got to do. What we do out of love, because it is voluntary, because it is an individual's right to life, to liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And that's where the joy and charity comes from, to help others. That's who Americans are, because of freedom.
That's right. And we are at threat, folks, and it's not just that threat from missiles coming from North Korea or economic disaster coming from China and Russia and all these different things. We're at threat here at home. And what we have to do is work very, very hard in order to protect the liberty that we have, to protect the ability to pursue happiness and the life. Life is so important in this. And so basically, this is what I'm asking you to do. So take that next step and get into your community some way or another, even if it's simply going to church, or if it's just meeting your neighbor for dinner or something to that effect. But we've run out of time here, folks, and I want to make sure that I get some things in here. If you enjoyed our show, make sure you continue to tune in on the Liberty Eagle as well as Lanterns Buzz on Facebook. If you're not a follower of those two groups, make sure you follow us on both of those locations. We do share our information on both locations. Also, you can donate to us. This money that we receive on Patreon, we actually donate that through to Lanterns to benefit all of the great hosts and writers there. You can go to patreon.com/lanterns. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Lanterns Buzz. You can follow me at Paul Revere again on both Facebook and Twitter. Our podcast is on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player.fm, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Spreaker. And I keep forgetting to mention we're on iHeartRadio as well. Susan, where can they find you real quick? Where can they find you, Susan, real quick? Okay, I can't hear. You can find her at The Real Susan Swift. So, folks, thank you for joining us on the Battlefield. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, and we'll be back on the Battlefield. Talk to you later. Tater.